All right. Arby, you just go ahead and start telling us. We're anxious to hear all about your Korean War stories.
Alright, well, I went in the service 2nd of November 1950. Went to San Antonio and got outfitted with clothes and shots. Took a troop train to San Francisco, California, and then I rode a Army truck up to Camp Cook, California. And I did some, I was put in a 224th Regiment Tank Company. And we started driving the tanks and learning about them. And then, I don't know, about March of 1951, we got on the General Breckenridge in San Francisco and sailed on the Golden Gate Bridge and landed in Yokohama, Japan. We spent 10 months in Japan training. And then in January of 1952, we went to Korea. I spent 10 months in Japan. And then in Korea, we moved up to the 38 parallel.
Look at Barbara.
And
Not Barbara, but look at
we relieved the 5th Regiment on a river, which I don't remember the name of it, but we were right on the river and we spent some time there. And one of the first actions we saw, we went KL and the infantry company was going to try to take this hill, and we went in support, and we were firing, Chinese and North Koreans were on top of it, and they were throwing hand grenades down. Of course, I was buttoned up in the tank. I was pretty safe, but the infantry lost 40 people that day. And one of our tanks hauled back quite a few of the wounded and some of the dead people. And we was out, of course, we was in the 2nd platoon. I was in the 2nd platoon. Ray was in the 2nd platoon. He was in along in that deal.
And you said, did you and Dad went from Japan to Korea at the same time together?
Yeah.
With the 224th?
Yeah, we went at the same time. Yeah, we went. I got to Japan a little before he did, but we went to Korea at the same time. And then because we had a lot of stuff in between, but these two things stand out mostly. We left one morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning, and we went through in the tanks, went through our lines and then through the Chinese and North Korean lines. And we got up there ways that I was driving the lead tank, and I run over a tank mine, and it blew off the left-hand track, plumb off. We were on the side of a mountain. I think if it would hit the high side, it'd turn us over, but it hit the low side. And so we went up about halfway up, but we'd come back down. Well, the lieutenant was behind us. He wanted to try to pull that tank back, and myself and the Willie from New Mexico, we got out and hooked up the tow board lines to pull us, and when he tried to pull us, he threw a track off his tank. So then we had to put that track back on, and we were on enemy fire there. Ray was in a tank right behind us, and he was on a 50 caliber, keeping us covered. In fact, he burned up one barrel, firing so regular. But we carried a spare barrel. We put a spare barrel on, and it took us about 4.5 hours to put that thing back on. And they called in artillery, shot 1,500 rounds of smoke to keep us covered where the enemy couldn't see us. And so we got the track put back on, and then another tank backed up to turn around. He hit a tank mine, blew his track off. So we hooked 2 tanks to him, and we were dragging him. And of course, my tank we left behind. We shot an armor-piercing round in it and set it afire and left it. And we were towing this other tank a while ways, and it was in January, and everything. The ground was frozen about 4 foot deep. Then we went across a rice paddy and this tank didn't have any tracks on it. It sunk down in, it broke that ice and sunk down in the rice paddy and we couldn't move it. And of course we were all out and it was, by this time it was almost dark. We'd been out there all day. And then we had a couple of officers there, they were trying to decide what to do. And about that time a mortar round come around and landed right in the middle of us. But it went down deep in this rice paddy and the shrapnel all mostly went up. We had one person got a little scratch on his back from shrapnel. But anyway, that made up their minds. They said, unhook them, boys, let's go. So we unhooked and headed back for camp, which was a good time to leave it. So it was almost dark. When it was daylight, we had plenty of firepower to keep them off of us, but when it got dark, well, it would have been a different story, but we got out of there and got back. And there wasn't any roads. The way we traveled, we followed a stream bed. It was all rocky country and mountains, and we just went down the stream. Sometimes we dipped in the water pretty deep, but the tanks was good about getting going, so. Had the two most things that stood out in my deal. We spent some time online and had different things, had them shoot at us and different things, and then I don't know, we stayed on, all together I guess I was in Korea about 9 months. In the last month and a half probably went south to an island called Sejido, where we guarded some prisoners. And we had a couple of storms come through, and while we were there, we had some tents to live in, but we had to take the tents down during the storm and pile rocks on so the wind wouldn't blow them away. And that was quite exciting.
Did you say it was a typhoon warning?
I don't, it was just it was a storm. I don't know how, it was.
Oh, yeah.
Wind, but it blew, it was, actually when rain hit me in the face, it felt like gravel hit me. There was so much force behind it,
Oh.
So it was a strong wind. And so in October, the latter part of October, I went to Osaka, Japan, and the first thing I did was pull all my clothes off and they sprayed me with DDT, dusted me with DDT. And I got all clean clothes and I caught the ship back and landed in Seattle in the late part of October 1952. So that's there's got a lot of other stuff between, but that's kind of what stands out. And Ray and I spent almost 2 years together, so we knew each other very well. And like I say, in that one incident, he kept me covered with 50 caliber while we were working out there.
Oh, yeah. Did you say you had actually crossed over into North Korea?
Oh, yeah.
You were?
Yeah, we went above the 38. That 38 parallel is the line between South and North Korea, and we were above the 38th parallel.
So you were in the enemy territory?
Yeah. Well, at one time they had pushed all the way down into South Korea, but they was actually back up above 38th when I got there. And we landed in Incheon, and we went over on LSU, and that's where the back end of the ship opens up and the water floods in. They got some small boats in there that would hold 3 tanks, and they would drive them out to shore and we loaded them on, and then when we got to Incheon, when they closed the gates, pumped the water out. Then when we got to Incheon, they opened the gates again and let the ship flood. And we got there like 3 o'clock in the morning, and we had to wait for the tide to come in before we could go in. But they unloaded us and we were circling out there in the water, and it was sleeting and snowing. It was some kind of cold. And when the tide got up, they got about 20-foot tides there. When the tide got up, we went in and landed. And we loaded the tanks on the flat cars train for it and went for a while until we got fairly close to the front, and then we unloaded and drove on up to the front line.
Did you drive the tanks off of those
Yeah.
boats onto the shore?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
and then we drove them up on a flat car of the railroad
Of a railroad, you were able to use a railroad there
Yeah.
to transport the
tank.
tanks.
They would put one tank on each on the car, you know.
Ah,
And I don't know, I don't know how many miles we went, but, you know, Seoul is pretty close to North Korea, you know, and so we went up, we unloaded, I guess, around about Seoul and then drove the rest of the way up to the front line. And then we come back, it's a real large river there close to Seoul, and then all the bridges had been shut down. There's about 3 of them there that had been built and shut down, and they had the river was about like the size of the Mississippi River, and they had pontoons on the river, and we drove the tanks across on those pontoons.
across the river?
Yes.
On pontoons?
Yeah,
Oh,
they had them tied together, you know, and
making like a temporary bridge?
yeah, it was a floating bridge.
A floating bridge that a tank could float on, huh?
Yeah, it was, well, because we drove those tanks, and, you know, in Japan too, and some of those bridges, boy, we had to go one tank at a time, and it's still, I've seen cracks on them up in the, where the tank tied, where the bridge tied onto the land, and it opened up because of all that weight on it. But, and we drove along the ocean, you know, sometime, and of course in Korea, we crossed rivers, you know, it was froze over when we got there. You know, we broke the ice and had to break through the ice and go across the river.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were, of course, you know, they knew that it wasn't deep enough to come inside the tank. I had the ice right up close to where where tank, you know, like just that much below where I was sitting, you know, ice was stacking up there.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, it was a lot of exciting time. But time passed fast when you were out there, you know, go all day, you know, like that time I was telling about when the track, I mean, we left like, I don't know, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and didn't get back till after dark, but we was back behind our lines when it got dark. But, yeah, that was exciting time.
What was the story about one time when it was raining and you were looking for somewhere to shelter from the rain?
The storm.
Well, that was when we was on Cheddar Island, and that's when a storm come in, and we had squad tents we was living in, and we had to take them down, fold them up, and put rocks on them, and then we parked our tanks around the prison. And we had 3 barbed wire fences that held the prisoners in, and we put the tanks around there in case something happened, we could turn the lights on at night. And that's where I had a sleeping bag, and I climbed under the tank to get out of the rain and go
Under the tank?
under the tank.
With your sleeping bag?
And well, it got to raining so hard, and the water started running up under me, and I got wet, and I thought I'd get out of there. I did climb out. By the time I got out, I was wet all over because, you know, well, it wasn't but about 14 inches of space under that over there. And then I was going to get in the tank, and the lieutenant already had got my spot in the tank. So I wasn't able to get in the tank, and we had a tarp there. And I just held that tarp the best I could and laid down real fast and let the wind blow over me. And I got warm, and I was soaking wet, but I had a windbreak. And I don't know, it lasted, I don't know just how long it lasted, probably about 15, 16 hours, I guess. So.
Oh.
with the wind blowing. I know that's what I said the next morning when I got out from that tank, out of that shelter I was in, that it was still raining and it felt like a little gravel hit me in the face, you know, there's so much force behind it. So,
And when you were guarding the prisoners, what was the story about, what somebody told you some rules, right? Or what was it?
well, yeah, they had, there was 250 of those North Koreans that they, when they did work, they just barely moved. If you didn't space them against a tree or something, you couldn't tell they was moving, but they refused to work, and so they had them all in a group where they had a little dugout, and they was all 250 of them sitting there, and they come over there and tank company, they wanted 15 men to come over and guard them for 4 hours, and I was in charge of the 15 men. And they said, well, don't let them smoke, and don't let them chant. They were, and
Don't let them chant, did you say?
don't let them chant.
Chant, okay.
Yeah, and you know, make them sit right in there. Well, we was 15, there was around 250 of them, and they were all sitting on the horses like. And this one guy, he was about a second from the outside ring, and he got a little cigarette, was smoking it, and
You were told that you shouldn't let them smoke, and
that's what they
he
said,
lit one
not
up.
let them smoke. Well, I was reaching at it and get the cigarette from him. He kept pulling his arm back behind him where I couldn't reach it. So I had a bayonet on a carbine. I whopped him on top of the head with the flat side of that bayonet. And I got the cigarette, but the whole 250 of them stood up. But then they sat back down and they started chanting. And they were good at that. They chanted even when they were working. So I just told the group that I said, I'll tell you what, as long as they stay in this pile, they can do whatever they want to. And if one of them decided to try to get up and go away, we'll shoot him, and otherwise they can do what they want. So we didn't have any more trouble after that. They just chanted. They didn't smoke. But one of the interesting things, because they had been there, I don't know how many hours without food or water. And they had, I think where they had little cans, and they had urinated in those cans and set it out there in the sun, let it for a while, and then they really drank it.
Oh. They were that thirsty, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, oh man.
So, and of course they were still there when I left, and there's another infantry group out there was guarding them, and like one of the infantry guys shot in that group, and he hit 3 of them with one bullet. He didn't kill nobody. But I saw this, and I was on my way home, but I saw the stars and stripes that they were thinking about maybe court-martialing him for shooting in there. I don't know how it come out. But I was on the way. I landed at Seattle and flew to Fort Hood, Texas, and home.
And did you say when they took you from the United States over there, it was a faster trip than when you came back?
Yeah, it took 13 days to go.
13 days to get there?
From San Francisco to Yokohama. Where's Osaka, Japan is where I left, and then we landed at Seattle. I think that might have been a little further distance for one thing, but then we were in a real bad storm, you know, the ship, the bow went down and so deep in the front, the prop come out of the water in the back, and you could hear it buzz, and they didn't have no resistance. And, but we come into Puget Sound, at Seattle, and I think it was Fort Lewis. Went to Fort Lewis, and they had a bunch of prop planes, two engine prop planes that we flew us to Fort Hood, Texas. And then from there, rode the bus home, I guess. I had a friend that come up there in a car, rode back with him. And that was in, I don't know just what day, but the last day or so in October of '52. And then when I got out, I had the option of taking 1 year active duty or free active.
There we go. So the stairs were zigzag, and when they go down the wave.
Yeah, when the bow, it would dip plumb under the sea, the wave, and the prop in the back would come out of the water. And it didn't have no resistance, and you could hear it, and it would flop down. Of course, water would run all the way down the deck, and but we didn't get out much. But if you did, they had some big ropes, about 2-inch diameter, slung around the deck where you could hold on to, so you didn't get
Washed off to sea? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. And the stairs that you were hauling supplies up and down?
Yeah, they were, well, you went this way and then the other way, and of course, they was, the ship, same way the ship, so when the ship rolled over this way, well, then that stairs would be, flat. And when it rolled back, well, then it was so far back that you couldn't walk up, it was upside down, so you just held on. The stairs up there like this, you was hanging on it. And then when it rolled back this way, you boogied up the way.
Run really fast.
And then when it rolled back, you got hold. Of course, one of the things I remember when I first left for California going over Japan, we got in some fairly rough weather. Where we ate our lunches, we had trays and tables, you just stood by the table. And this ship rolled like that, and most people didn't hold the trays. I think I helped mine, but those trays went all the way down the table and hit the floor on the other side. And then when the ship went back this way, here it come back on the floor. Of course, there were, food and everything. If I'd had, I never got seasick, but I believe if I'd had to work in that kitchen, I would have. Food was all on the floor and everything. It was a mess. And all, knives and forks and trays was all on the floor. And they just went from one side of the room to the other. Every time the ship rolled, it went this way. Next time it come back. And of course, so many got seasick when we went over. Those stairs they vomited so much, them stairs were slick and dipping.
That was awful.
Oh man.
It wasn't quite as bad. I had Tom Weaver and Willie were good friends, and but they were seasick. They stayed in bunks all the time, and all they got to eat, I'd bring them a piece of toast or orange, everyone. That's all they ate going back. Now, Ray come in a little later than I did, and when we went to Japan to start with, he didn't go. He stayed back for some more training, but then he came over to Japan in May.
May of 51?
51.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But he went to Korea at the same time. And then I left Korea before he did. He stayed there, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 months after I left. So I don't know what ship he come back on. And I can't remember the ship I come back on. I know the one I went over was General Breckenridge, but I can't, for some reason, I don't remember the name of the one I come back on.
So when you went from Japan to Korea, that was by ship?
Yeah.
It was.
Called it LSU.
LSU? What does that stand for, I wonder?
Land
and Sea?
And then they had a LST. We did some training on it. And of course in Japan, we went out on a ship and then we climbed down that rope ladder on the side, like you said, in the movies where they come down and
Yes.
get on one of those landing traps and go in.
Oh.
We did that. It was just training there in Japan. I remember I had a life jacket on, over my head, And of course, when you got the beach, you have to run and fall down, you know. Well, when I fell down, I couldn't raise my head up. My nose was down in the sand.
Oh,
It was a good thing I wasn't in actual combat. I was in bad.
that was in training, huh?
Yeah.
We found out what not to do, huh?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we did a lot of tank driving in Japan. You know, we went all the way up northern part of Honshu, and we was at a couple of bases, but we spent most of the time in Japan at Camp Haugen. That was kind of, I'd say about 3/4 of the way up Honshu, and then they had some open land up way up north at Honshu, and we drove the tanks up there, and a lot of it was along shore and the edge of the water, you know. And of course, some of it was on the road, but a lot of it was. I got some pictures, you know, where all coming down along the ocean, on the ocean. It'd be a cliff there, you know, we'd be between the cliff and the ocean.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about what was that one time when you were sitting there and you heard. Tell that one, yeah.
Well, that was when we was on line up there, and the tank was on the enemy side, and we had a bunker in behind, but the sun, it was sunny side over where the tank was, so I was sitting there by the tank, and I heard this.
Go ahead. That's fine, yeah.
I heard this
Hello?
whine of a bullet going by, and when I was so
You heard the bullet whistling past you, by you?
Yeah. I don't know how close it was, but I heard it. It was close enough that I could hear it. I don't know, so I don't know how close it was. But I was so comfortable, I said, well, I don't believe he hit me. I'm going to just stay here. So I did. But I didn't hear no more bullet whine. And I didn't get hit, so I...
Oh, fortunately, huh?
But we did have them. We had 2 30 caliber machine guns and a 50 caliber. And one day we took them all over the hill to clean them up, and I guess they was watching us. And they opened up with a recoilless rifle at that tank. They fired 3 rounds, but they didn't hit it. And when we heard it, we run back and got the tank, because we had the 76 in there, yet the big gun. And I guess they didn't want to take a chance. They were afraid we'd see them where they were, so they didn't shoot no more. But we fired a lot of rounds from that position. One day, for a while, we fired 100 rounds a day, a 76 millimeter. It's about shell about that long, about that big around.
Oh, I didn't get to see your hands. Show me again how big the shell, how long?
About
That long? Oh, really? The shells were?
about that big around, yeah.
Oh my, and you did 100 rounds
Yeah.
a day of those?
And we had, of course, we was up on this, it was a 562, I believe, that's in meters. So meters a little over 3 foot, so that was up about 1,700 feet where we was. At that time, we had the highest tank on the highest position in Korea. And we had some of the South Koreans, they toted their shells up to us. They brought 2 a day, 2 at a time. And
They hauled up to you?
They walked up that mountain with them.
Carrying those
A whole
shells?
bunch of them, you know, we call them chitty bears, you know,
You call them what?
chitty bears.
Bears. Oh, yes.
And, cause they walk real slow, like I say, you could almost have to look, space them against something that was standing still, see if they was moving. But they kept moving, they never stopped, you know, they come on. Cause I told it, we built that bunker up there, and I toted some steel up there myself. And there was a booger carrying that up there. I had one of those packs, you know, they had a big pack with a board you could put on your back and tie. And I had 8 of those steel things on there. And went for a ways and I decided to rest and I sat down, there was a lot of big rocks and stuff. I sat on a rock for a little bit. Then I started up again and I got up a ways and outside I sat down again and the rock wasn't so real high and when I sat down, my butt hit that rock and I had so much weight on my back it flipped me over backwards. My feet went there and over the back of the boulder I went.
Over the
Boulder.
over the boulder.
What I was sitting
We were sitting on it. I tipped you over.
tipped me up. So I got up, when I got them up there, we had sandbags to make the walls out of, but we made the roof out of those steel things we had, and then put sandbags on top of that. We had it fixed up, you know, the tank had 24 volt batteries in it. And we took some wires and took some, made us lights in our bunker. We run a wire from the tank over to our bunker and hooked it up with a DC light. And so we had electric lights in there.
In the bunker from energy from the tank.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And of course we had to stand guard, 24 hours a day, and we had, I got to the point where, I slept with my pistol under my pillow, and I always woke up, and we'd change shifts, we'd come in and somebody else would get up. When they come in that bunker, I always woke up. You get where. And I just missed a big firefight. I went down one day about 4 o'clock and they had a big firefight that night. And the Chinese tried to take that spot.
Oh.
But,
Did you say there was one person who was standing, what was he holding grenade with the pin? What was that?
Well, I didn't actually see this. But,
Oh, you heard it. Okay.
But the guys standing there, we stood in that tank, with the head sticking out, and to keep from going to sleep, he pulled a pin on a hand grenade, held it in his fist, and as long as you hold that thing down, it don't go off. And he'd hold it over the side of the tank, and if he dropped it, well, then it would go off and wake him up.
And that's what motivated him to stay awake, huh?
Yeah. Of course, you hear, I didn't see this either, but I heard stories where, you had to pull a pin and then he pulled his pin, and he was trying, wasn't going to throw it, so he was trying to put that pin back in, and it slipped out of his hand and then went off and killed him.
And it killed him?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there was quite a few people got killed accidentally.
Oh.
Yeah.
What was the one term, Betty Bouncer? Was that?
Oh, well, we had, they had two officers, two of our officers and an infantry officer and then a Korean. They were parking these tanks on a line up there, and this Korean stepped on they call it a bouncing Betty. It goes up in the air about 3 foot and then it goes off.
Oops.
So, and it wound up killing 2 officers and.
Wait, I'm going to have you start that story over again. Sorry about that interruption. You want to start that story over again? Telling us what a Betty, or bouncing Betty, what is that again?
Well, a bouncing Betty, if you step on it, it comes up about 2 or 3 feet somewhere and then it explodes and slows that down. And it killed 4 people, and two officers from our company, and then it killed the MC officer and 1 Korean.
So it pops up out of the ground. It
comes up, you know, maybe about waist high, and then explodes, throw shrapnel, you know, all the way around it.
Ah,
And it wounded one of our tank commanders too. And they shipped him to Japan. I don't know how he come out. His name was Jacobson, but I never heard anything about him after that.
his name was Jameson? What'd you say his name was?
Jacobson,
Oh, Jacobson.
yeah.
Oh,
And he was, he was from somewhere up in northeast somewhere. I don't really know where he was from.
so you were mentioning Tom Weaver, and
Yeah.
he's from Texas. Where in Texas about?
He was from Alvin,
From where?
Texas.
Evan?
Alvin.
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 Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned Willie. What's Willie's last
Well,
name?
he was from Eunice, New Mexico. And then,
What was his last name? Willie?
Willie?
Boy, boy,
You know,
boy.
Wooly? Oh,
Bill Willie.
oh, oh,
And
okay.
another good friend was Robert McKinley. He's still living. He lives in Angleton, Texas.
Oh.
And
How about C.R. Walker
C.R. Walker was from Mission, Texas.
from Mission?
Uh,
Oh, okay.
and, you know, he wasn't in the same platoon I was in, so I didn't know him as much as I knew him, but I didn't ever run with him anything in the service. Then I had another good friend from Anderson, Texas. His name was Louis Borsky.
And the, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, we had, you know, there was quite a few from Bryan, and a lot of them got into infantry companies. But I had another guy from Bryan that got in tank up, well, two, with Ed Tressart and Daniel Hodak. They were from Bryan and tank company.
And who is it from Washington? Myers?
Don Myers.
Don Myers?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, and of course there's a Ken Johnson. He lives at Arby. He was a National Guard guy. But I visited him some. You know,
and so you were in the 224th,
in the 40th Division, 224th Regiment,
224th Regiment
Tank Company.
Tank Company.
Yeah, they had they had an armored division that was all tanks, but we was a tank company attached to an infantry regiment. And you know what they used, that's armor. They had their own head knockers. You know, they might tell them to do something, and they said, "Well, that ain't a good idea for tanks." But we was with the infantry, and they was over us, so they could tell us where they want us to go.
Oh,
So we did a lot of things that the tank, actually armor didn't do. You know, but we were the support of infantry, you know, most of the time.
did you say the name of the infantry?
224th,
224th.
yeah.
Oh.
And, well, the 224th consisted of a headquarters company, and A company, B company, and C company, and D company. They were A, C, and D were all infantry. And then headquarters were, you know, they took care of supplies and stuff. And then we had a heavy mortar company that was attached to the 224th, the mortar company. You know, that was, and they now, of course, they call that a combat team, that 224th combat team. Now I got some caps that says 224th combat team.
Oh, yeah.
I got it. My son Travis there in Michigan, he bought me was already had some, but he bought me a Korea cap here the other day.
Oh,
We got two, I guess I had a good conduct medal and a United Nations medal and two bronze stars, or battle stars, two battle stars.
oh, is that right? Oh,
And of course we all got that was there, you know. It wasn't just me, it was everybody.
would have been everybody in that.
Group, everybody got it, yeah.
So the 224th, was that a pretty large group of men in total?
Well, yes, those infantry companies, I think they probably had close to 200 people in it, you know, in each company, so that was 5 companies. So, and then you had the tank company, we had 22 tanks, there was 5 men each one, and then we had a half track, and a tank retriever. We were probably 175 men or so, and then a heavy mortar, they had a bunch, so we probably like 12 or 1,300 men in that 224, you know.
Uh-huh.
We went over on that Breckenridge, you know, of course the 40th Division, you know, they had 3 regiments, they had a 224th, 223rd, and 160th, and each one of them had that same amount of people in it. And so I don't know, it seemed to me like maybe we had around 12,000 men or something like that. We went over. Yeah. So, and of course, when I got halfway over, I got the 3-day meals, and then I went to the hospital, and I really wasn't sick. I guess I had a little fever, but not much. And so then I had a nice wide bed, and
Measles.
had my meals brought. Because before I got in the hospital, I was on 7 decks, 7 floors down. I was at the very bottom, and there was it was just canvas cots stacked. You had about 15 inches between the guy that was on top of you.
15 inches or so?
You just grab they had 2 wooden things holding that canvas between it. And where I was, I get a hold of it above me and just swing myself, slide in there, you know.
Oh.
And your nose was almost touching the canvas on top.
Oh, oh man.
And we, you know, the sailors, they had fresh water. They had a machine that made fresh water, you know. But they didn't have enough for everybody. So we had to take showers in salt water when we were going over.
Oh.
That don't work so good.
Oh.
But it was all right. It was quite an adventure for me. You know, I had never been anywhere before.
Oh, never left Texas before that, huh?
Never left Brian.
Never left Brian
I
either.
don't think I loved. Well, I went to, one time I drove a great uncle over to Texas City. I was up Brazos County, I guess 1 or 2 times. That's all about getting my story now, don't you think?
Well, I really appreciate you sharing these stories. I really do, and I really appreciate your service, and just want to thank you on behalf of all of us for your service, and so glad you made it through all of that alive.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, and live to tell about it. Yeah. And so you're going to be 91 next month?
And 14th of September.
14th of September, you're going to be 91.
Yeah.
You were born in 28, the same year as Dad, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was a little bit younger.
Just a few months younger, huh?
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, and thank you for taking the time to share these stories.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it.